Everything is ready. JavaScript Basics for designers. Bring life to everything is ready. Bring life to your design with JavaScript Basics for designers. Okay. Bring life to everything is ready. Bring life to your design with JavaScript Basics for designers. Okay. Bring life to everything is ready. Bring life to your design. Okay. Problems with life solved. Okay. Let's start again. JavaScript Basics for Designers. Bring design to life with code. Designer's Playbook for JavaScript. And the question will be like, why can I do this here? Why? Why designers need JavaScript? Because JavaScript is a big, it's used for many things. But I think I'm not a designer myself, but I've worked with many designers, and I think there's a set of things designers are going to use, and everything else is not going to matter that much, especially with modern frameworks, and JavaScript is like a big, scary word, but really it's not, and you're going to get certain advantages from knowing the basic things that you're going to need to do your designs, make them a little bit easier. So these are some of the things, some of the advantages you will gain from knowing and using a little bit of JavaScript in your designs. This is besides frameworks and everything, and we'll touch a little bit into frameworks and jQuery and all that stuff. We'll touch a little bit into that. The first one is to enhance interactivity and user engagement. Of course, doing a little things like timing and stuff. You can do a lot of that with CSS right now. But if you add a little transition or little thing with JavaScript, and it will help your designs. And if you know what can be done with JavaScript, it will also help you design. If you can hide and make things disappear when the user is interacting, that's going to help a lot your design. Better collaboration with designers. If you know what you want to do, it's a lot easier to work with with developers, because you need to know the limitations of exactly what to do, or do it yourself. They can give you the information, and you can do it yourself, because most of the internet works that way now. You get information from a place, from Google, from houses, whatever, and then you have to draw it. If you know very little bit of JavaScript, you can actually portray it, and it'll be, you don't have to ask every time, oh, how do I turn this off? How do I show this? How do I hide that? How do I, and a developer needs to do that for you every time. And you can also realize your creative visions, because a developer or a marketer might have a vision, and you want exactly something different. For example, you want, whenever they move the mouse, you want something to move there. You want, when it's mobile, you want some interaction that only you can imagine as a designer. And if you know JavaScript, you can do it. Prototyping and testing ideas. You can also quickly prototype ideas, test them before you talk to a team, or before you talk to somebody else, or talk to your boss or whoever, and say, implement this, or waste time designing. You can create a slider, animated card, whatever, div, and you can test it before you throw it to production. Career advancement, of course, you're going to get a lot of career advancement, because there's something more, And speaking of career advancement, it's also about portfolio, because if you have a good portfolio, you're going to get better opportunities. And then stay current and relevant. This is also very important, because we have every year new technology, new things come up, and if you usually use like a library, or you use something else, that might be, something like, many design pages today are using jQuery or whatever. That's maybe like 6, 7, 10 years old. What can be done today, easier, faster, and if you know a little bit of JavaScript, you can do it yourself and be up to date into these things. So these are some of the benefits, and why especially designers need to know about these aspects of JavaScript. The following, developers is another story, but these aspects are very important for designers. Here, table of contents is not relevant. Presentation, okay. The basics starts with the concept of variables. This is the most basic concept in variables. Variables is a place where you store information. For example, name is Manolo, Sam, or Maria, or Dorothy. Age is 30. That's a variable because now age represents the value of 30. So if you got 30, it's a value, but now age is 30, age can be 32, and name is John, and then it can be Mary, and then it can be Peter. So that's a variable. It varies. It stores that data, and it can vary. And then there's different data types, such as that you can store in that, such as strings, numbers, Boolean, arrays, and objects. We'll go over those. And there's the things you can do with those variables. You can add, subtract, compare, add the same, say, is it true or is it false? Okay? So the basics of JavaScript, you got, for one hand, variables, which is places where you store information. Then you got different types of information that you store in them. And then you do different things that you can do with the information stored there. Because it's not the same thing. If you have age 32, and then you add 10 years, it's not going to be the same thing, because that's going to become 42. It's not the same thing if your name is John and you add Mayer, which is a string. They behave differently. And it's not the same thing if something is true. It's like did he click the button, it's true, or if it's false. So that every type of data type behaves different, and that's the only difference. But basically, they are stored in variables, and that's the advantage, the main benefit of JavaScript, because when you're doing HTML, you write something, and every time you want to change that, you need to change HTML by hand. When you're using JavaScript, if it's a variable, you can change the information, and it will change. The value will change. Now, how we draw it, that's a different story. We're not going to get too much into that, because in modern JavaScript, you don't deal that much with how you draw it. That's a little bit taken care of. Okay, let's start with variables. Variables is, as we said, how do we declare a variable? How do we say this is a variable? Before, we used to use the name var. Not recommended anymore. A long story short, when JavaScript was made, it had a lot of possibilities. They really didn't know what was going to be used for, and the amount of information we move today has nothing to do with what we did 10, 20 years ago. It has nothing to do. There's so much information, so much things change that some of the things that were okay back then are not okay now. And one of them is var, because var, the way var worked, you could change it at any time. You can do a lot of things that right now, with the amount of information you're changing, it's going to get changed upon, because you never know. Something that could be like whatever. So now they created let with a little bit more. It's the same, but it's a little bit more restricted, and it helps a little bit more get a control of things. Because one of the things of JavaScript is very flexible, but it can get very out of hand very quickly. So to declare a variable, you say let, Alice, let name be Alice. So that now name is Alice, okay? Let age be whatever. Let town be, the town is Madrid, okay? And then constants are variables that cannot be changed. For example, something that along your code is not going to change value. It's not going to change. It's not going to be reassigned. So birth year is whatever. It's not going to be reassigned again. It's not going to change for whatever you're doing. This helps you in when you are doing something in JavaScript. When you do something, you want to, there are things that you want to change, but there are things that you don't want to change, and you want to make sure that if you're trying to change it by accident, it gives you a warning. That's very, very important. Things like, for example, if you're talking about design, maybe you have a base color or something that changes between applications, between clients, but you don't want it to change within the client. So you declare it, but you don't want accidentally you change a brand color, and then you change it, and all of a sudden your page with the brand color, red is blue, and management goes crazy. What's going on? So you say, no, brand color is red for this site, then for the other site it's yellow, but it's a variable that changes between code, but it's the same for everybody. That's one example. And then variable naming rules, they must start with a letter, with a $sign, or with an underscore. So a variable name cannot start with a number, okay? It can contain digits, which are numbers, can contain $signs, and can contain underscores, okay? Cannot use reserved words as variable names. You cannot use reserved words. What are reserved words? Reserved words, reserved keywords are words that JavaScript uses for itself. For example, let, constant, variable, function, if, return, exit. Words that are, but it's going to tell you this word, JavaScript uses it, you can't use it for your variable name. Okay, primitive variable types. So which kind of data can go into the variables? String is the easiest. Text. If you're going to put a name, you're going to put text. If you add strings, you're going to get, for example, you write hello brother, you add them, you're going to get hello brother. You can't do arithmetic, so you can sum, so that it's a string, it's text. In the common man's world, that would be text. Number is number. That's what it is. Number is a number. 1, 2, 3, 4. Numbers you can add, subtract, and do mathematical operations with it. It also includes fractions, floating point numbers, they call them fractions. Okay, and now we go from there, and we've got Boolean logicals. Example, this is true or false. It can only be true or false. For example, when you open a pop-up, it's open or closed. There's no in between. It's open or closed. It's when you hit a button, it's clicked or not clicked. That's on or off. It's very, very useful. That's probably one of the first ones, along with strings. Is the first ones we're going to use as designers. A string, a number, and Boolean we use all the time. You're going to need that all the time to know the difference. And another one you're going to need is objects and arrays. What is an object in JavaScript? It's just a structure that has a lot of values inside, a lot of data inside, but the data is organized with what they call key and value. For example, imagine you're describing a box, something, a title. So you've got a key would be, for example, a font, that size. So you have a lot of values, color, a lot of values that you want to assign to a different thing. That's why you would use an object. For example, like I said, if you're doing a title, as we said, a title or box or a text, and you want to know the text, whatever it is, very high little lamp. But you want to know the color, and then you want to know the font size, and you want to know the position, and all that information you want to store it inside one variable, so that you can copy it and you can reuse it. You want to use, so that's where you use an object. It's got many different values, but stored by key value. You access the key by, you access the value by the key. So if you've got an object called student, and then you've got name, grade, date of birth, then you can access student to the key. I'll give you the name. What's this student's age? I'll give you that name. And then array is a special type of object that is just what we would call in layman's terms, it's a list of things, list of objects. Instead of key value, it's a list. First, second, third, fourth, which is very useful. For example, when you have a list of students, every student has something, but it's a list. A list can be of strings, of numbers, of arrays, and even of objects. So it's very common to use lists of objects in JavaScript. List of objects, arrays of objects is the most common thing, because you're going to get a list of students. You have to throw a list of stores. You have a list of products, a list of stuff. So you're always going, and then a product is not just one thing. A product's got the name, it's got a photo. So those are very important. Well, JavaScript operators. What are JavaScript operators? This is what you can do with these variables. You with the values of the variables, and each type of variable acts differently, as we said. We've got, you can add two values, you can subtract two values, you can multiply, you can divide, you can, this is simple arithmetics. In this example, these are typical values that you use for numbers, for numbers, digits, numbers. You're going to add them. It doesn't make any sense to add, maybe, but it doesn't make any sense to subtract or to multiply strings. The result is unpredictable. I'm not sure what happens. Well, but okay. Assignment operators. That is when you want to know first you want to give a value, that's an assignment, but you also want to know if it's the same, or if it's bigger, or you want to add. This is, in this case, they're talking about adding, we're not going to use this that much in design, but we will use the operators, assignment operators, we're not going to use that much. We're going to use equal. We're not going to, they're not the use. We're not going to, for example, add a year every time, or maybe add a visit or add a number every time they click something. For example, if you want to have a counter into visits or counter or something, you can do add a number, take away a number every time this happens. Those will be assignment operators. And then there will be comparison operators that we use a little bit more in JavaScript, in the design concept, because you can say if that is the same as that, do this. For example, if the current page name is the same as this value you have, then do this. If at this point this happens, do this. If this is the number of bits is bigger than that, then do that. That's what will be comparison operators. You can say if it's the same, if it's not the same, or if it's exactly not the same. That's not much, but that's very used. This concept is very used. Logical operators, for example, if you got this and that, this or that, if there's a number of visits, or if it's the home page, then do this. If it's this page and it's a weekend, then do this. or if it's this page or that page, do that. Used a lot. In design, it's used a lot because you want to, for example, if you've got 100 products and then if the product is on sale, then you do this. If it's on sale and it's Black Friday, then do that. So you're gonna do a lot of things with that. And we almost done. So those are pretty much the basics that you need to know as a designer. We'll go over them a little bit, but it's not that much. We can go over them, but it's not really that much. You've got variables, you've got data types, and you've got what to do with those data. Variables is information you put, stores value. Data types is what types of information gets stored, and operations, what you do with that information. You add it, you subtract it. And then we come to the last part, which is popular JavaScript frameworks. Why is this important? Because in the past, when you as a designer, you needed to know JavaScript. You have to learn a lot of how to manipulate the data in your page. You need to know a lot of information. JavaScript frameworks place a layer to make it easier to separate the data information from the design information. So these are front-end JavaScript frameworks. There are some very popular ones, and we'll start. Oh, I didn't list them. Okay, yes I did. Where's page 17? It's not here. Okay, so we've got Vue, we've got React, and we've got Angular. We'll also have Svelte, and there are many more. But these share they are very popular, and they're very much designed for front-end development for designers. So also designers take advantage of that. Vue is a progressive JavaScript framework, which means you can start small, you can go far. It focuses on front end. Its main features are it's very true reactive. Other frameworks are not true reactive. Means that when you change something, it changes something somewhere else. That's very important today in design. So when you go to students, whatever, and the information changes, it changes everywhere that information is. You've got a store and somebody clicks something, you want it to do everything everywhere, and that's not natural. Usually you have to do it manually, and you have to make sure that React, Vue takes very good care of that. It's very simple and flexible. That's one of the things of Vue is simple and flexible, which means you can really do it as you like, but you're also not alone, because you've got some steps, but you can decide to go that way or that way. You have some flexibility. You're not completely alone, and it's extensive documentation and a very supportive framework. Vue is made by one person. Was made by one person. There's no company backing it, so that's why it's very flexible. Because the other one, like React and Angular, React has Facebook, and Angular has Google, and they're not as flexible because at the end of the day, the company that created them has the last word. Vue is a community driven, and they can adapt. They can take things from React. They can take things from everybody. And then we've got React. React is the same idea. It came before Vue. It was originally intended to create interface, to create components. Components is a little parts of code that do specific things. So it's very designed for that. So it's component based. It's not as in the case of Vue. You can you're thinking of a page, you're thinking of that. All of them can do everything, huh? But usually is thinking of a page, thinking of a website. React in origin was conceived for a banner, for a button, for an interaction integrated into any other page. So it's very much aimed on that. It has a lot of freedom because of that. You can choose, how you manage the information, what you do with it. There's no real limitation, which is a good and a bad thing. That's why it's very popular, because you can really do anything you want. But if you're a designer, you might not really care about everything. You just want to do something easy, and not, you don't really care how to. You just want to, I want this button to come down. I don't want to have to choose, which library I'm going to use to make this happen. You don't want that. But if you're a developer, you might want that. Or if you have something already, you might want the team to work specifically on that other thing. A strong community and rich ecosystem also developed by Facebook. And then we've got Angular. Angular was developed by Google. The best thing about Angular is got a comprehensive set of tools, which means it tells you how to you it tells you everything what you have to do. Angular has a set way of saying things that's called opinionated in coding. It tells you have to do this, that way. You really cannot go out of the way things work, which is a good thing and a bad thing. So it's just like React is very flexible. Angular is very opinionated. You have to do things this way, which might be good for enterprise, for big companies, big teams. They don't want, all of a sudden depend on some library from somebody that, they want things done the standard way. So that provides a lot of clear guidelines and consistency. Again, as a designer, you might not care at all. As a developer, if you're alone, you might not care at all either, because you just want to get things done. But as a corporation, as something that has, we have the resources to manage this. If we need more machines, it doesn't matter. We can handle. You've got a complex organization, it might be popular. As I said, all of these frameworks steal from each other, and it's not going to decide. It's not going to decide to you. There's nothing one can do that the other one can do. That's absolutely not true. But that's where they came from, and where they are now. So you can do things in Angular, you can do things in Vue, you can do things in React. React is called the most popular framework, but it's also the one with more programmers. So you might be popular, but you're going to have a lot more competition. And Vue might be used by a lot less people, but usually Vue jobs are very much the whole thing. So it's not so much in big companies that you are one more. It's more for a human connection. It's usually projects that involve that you take care of more than one thing. You're not just doing the banner. I'm thinking. I always say that if you have a team of 5 React developers in your company, one of those React developers could do 5 Vue projects for the same company, because Vue projects are usually fast and developer. That usually, when you control the whole stack, is the best for that. If you're going to control the website, you're going to control the where it's going to go, who's going to go, and you want that control, and you don't want, and there's nobody else. That's a good of your tool. You want to move fast. It's very good. React. If it's a good team and people are very knowledgeable of JavaScript, they're going to take good advantage of the React, because the more you know, you don't have to rely on build things. You can create your own custom pictures. Angular, you're gonna take advantage of it if you have a clear guidance, if you already have Angular, and if you want to do very consistent work usually because of clients. Big clients, used to like a lot. Now Angular has changed everything. Okay, so let's do a little example. For the example, I'm going to use Vue because I feel that as a designer, it's probably the best to get started. Because if you learn Vue, then if you learn the basic concepts of JavaScript, variables, type, then you can do anything anywhere. And if you want to do like a portfolio, so because I am thinking that when you're in a team, you're going to choose whatever the team says. You know, the team says React or Angular. You know, the designer is not going to choose the framework. But to create your own stuff, it's that place. No, we have everything, and you are in control, and you want to do it. So you don't rely on a team. You don't have team meetings. You want to do everything. So you want to do the thing that's simplest for you. Let's go and try it. Okay. So this is a sample that we're doing for designers. It's a simple app. All it does is when you change the colors, it changes the happy, it changes the background. It's simple. If you did this in HTML, it's very simple. You've got the CSS, and that's another thing. Another of the advantages of another of the advantages of what do you call it? Of Vue. Let me add the camera here. Can I add the camera? Yeah. Okay, let's put it there. Okay, that's one of the advantages of Vue. For example, the style is CSS 100%. This is 100% CSS. The script part where you put the JavaScript is pretty much JavaScript. And the part where you put the called template, where you put the HTML is very, very much like HTML. So if you're coming from HTML, it's very simple. That's why I say that in modern frameworks, they have variations of this, you know. So they take some place from one place and the other one. But if you're coming from HTML, this is going to be very easy to understand because it's just div and select option. There's no class, you know, all this word. This is a strange word, but that's okay. So what we've got here? We've got would be inside. This is an array of objects because you've got text, creative, color, purple. That's an array of objects. Moods is an array of objects. You can comment like that. Mood is an array of objects. Okay. And then you've got, that's what mood is. And then we've got current mood, which is a string. Okay. Current mood is a string. Comment here. Which means the value is purple. For example, if we wanted to here draw show the value of current mood in the web page. This is the web page. All we'll have to do is decide what H3 or whatever here. Put it here. And if we put here hello, that will show up there. But since we want to put a variable, which is current mood, so in Vue, you just have to put it inside the brackets. Like that, so it knows this is JavaScript, and it puts current mood. Okay. That's it, current mood. And then this is, inside that, it's the same thing. And then when you change, you'll change. Change, you'll change. And that's all we're doing. Okay, it's a variable. Okay, we'll go into why it's ref, but that's how you declare a variable in view. We're not going to get into why one. And mood value is a class. Mood class is also a variable, a string. We'll get a little bit more into why, but strings just means text. So if we wanted to see what class this was, we just create, for example, if you want to see what class it is, this is HTML. We put here where it will go. It will go there, and then we'll just say no. Instead of current mood, we want to see what class it is. Current mood class. Mood class. Okay, that's a class. The main difference between current mood and current class in this example, it's called computed, it's because I am choosing here the mood. Frustrated, the color is red. I am choosing the mood, and I take the color from that. That's why it's a variable. Computed means when the color is red, the mood is whatever, and that is associated with the class. So mood red is a class. Here, that's what this means. This means that this is a fixed class, but the other class is whatever value mood class is. So when I choose happy, this is going to be mood class yellow. When I choose that, this is going to be mood class that. Okay, and that's basically it. And I think it's pretty much simple, but it's very nice to have this possibility because you can create relatively simple knowledge. You can create some very fancy web page. This is the example is not very good, but you can choose. For example, if you have portfolios, you can choose your portfolio, and that's going to give you a value. You could choose things with a select, and it's going to change the class in the example, and that class has whatever CSS associated to that class, and everything here is pure CSS, which just makes it very good. Everything here is pretty much JavaScript, and that's about it. Okay, so that's some of the basics. This is the first part, and then we're going to applying variables stuff. I'll leave this in the description, these examples, but there's not much more to this. Okay, so that's about it. If you have any questions or any comments, feel free to hit me up at Instagram or whatever. I'm always the same, Sammy Buka at Instagram or whatever. Okay, I hope this has been useful. It has been for me, and I'm very glad I did it. Big hug, and keep coding and keep designing.